Hello and welcome all of you students once again. So today we are starting with unit number 5 from the system programming and the operating system. Previously we have completed the unit number 4 and all the details related with the what is operating system, then the CPU scheduling, process management, deadlock, okay, different types of the operating system, that everything details we have covered in the previous lecture. So in this lecture, we'll start with the unit number 5 and that is the memory management. Okay. So, and related with the topic memory management, today we will discuss about the introduction to the memory management. What is exactly is the memory? What is the role of the memory in the computer system? Different types of the memory. What is memory management? And why it is required to perform the memory management? Okay. So as in the previous lecture also, we have started the contents of the operating system, and also we have discussed what exactly is the operating system. As all of you know, operating system is nothing but the act as a interface or the communication bridge between the user and the computer hardware. As well as along with that, it perform the different kind of roles, like it perform the process management, it perform the resource allocation part, in that it perform the role of the memory management, etc., etc. So operating system has to manage and allocate the different hardware resources so that computer system can work properly. And in that, one of the functionality of operating system is nothing but the memory management. Okay. And today we are going to discuss the same topic only. Okay. So before you go to the actual point of memory management, first we need to understand what exactly is the memory, or what is the memory in case of the computer. So it is just like the same thing that is a human being having as a human brain. Okay, just like the human brain consists of the storing the different kind of information in that. Okay, whatever the past experience human being have, whatever the things he need to do in the present or in the future, that everything, that every part of the information used to be stored in the human brain. That is why we are considering it as our memory. So computer memory is also the same thing, just like the brain is there in case of the human being. Okay. So just like our brain used to store the different kind of information, human brain used to store the different kind of information. In the similar way, in computer also, in order to store the different kind of information, data, etc., there is a brain is available, and that is nothing but the computer memory. So computer memory used to store the different kind of data, information, etc. Okay. So computer memory is the storage space in the computer where data is to be processed and instruction required for the processing are stored. In the sense what, we do the different program like C language program, C++, Java, and through that program we used to process some particular data. So that instruction which is required for processing the data, that instruction also being stored within a memory. Okay, that is the reason where data is being to be processed and instruction required for the processing are stored. So that is the reason here it is being said computer memory used to store the different kind of data as well as the instruction. Okay. And if you see the computer memory, it is being divided into the different small parts. Okay. So if you think this as our computer memory, then it is being divided into the different parts. Okay. And each of these part is being referred as a cell or the block. Okay, each of this particular part is being referred as a cell, or it can be also referred as a block of memory. Okay. So nowadays in the modern computer system, the memory size is being now increased. You are getting the uh, memory that is in the form of GBs. Okay. So I am talking about the primary memory, that is our random access memory. Okay. And also the another secondary memory is also available, which is now also available in the very huge amount in the terabytes, and more than the terabytes it is being available. Okay. But if you compare the primary memory and secondary memory, okay, Then primary memory is limited as compared with the secondary memory. Means our RAM is limited as compared with our hard disk. Okay. So whatever the our primary memory is there, okay, RAM, that is a random access memory, it is divided into the different small parts, and each particular part is being referred as your cell or the block. Okay, and each of these cell or block is given the some specific address like 0, 1, 2, like that kind of addressing mechanism is applied here, so that each of the memory location can be identified. Okay, so here that is the reason I have mentioned each location of the cell has the unique address associated with that. Okay, so that is the reason we can consider the memory is an large array of words or bytes where each location is available with its address. Okay, so each of these location is being represented in the form of some, okay, words or the bytes. Again, you know, the bytes being divided into the number of bits 16. Okay, so in that way, uh, the memory is being represented, that is our primary memory. Okay, so memory is a large array of words or the bytes where each location is having the certain address assigned with that particular cell or the block. So that is the general concept of the memory. Okay, computer memory. Okay, so as you can see, now there are the different kinds of memory available along with the computer system. So in brief, we can just discuss what exactly are, which are that different kinds of memory. So memory in case of the computer system generally primarily divided to three different types, like the cache memory is there, then the primary memory or the main memory is there, which is also referred as the physical memory also, and then secondary memory, that is a hard disk, where this our primary memory is nothing but our RAM. Okay, and this our secondary memory is nothing but our hard disk, that is a magnetic disk. Okay, and also cache memory is also there as a buffer, which is being also considered as one of the important memory related to the computer. So these cache memories are available in the form of the semiconductor. That is the reason I have shown you the picture here, that is available in the form of some semiconductor which are available on your motherboard, you must have seen. Okay, so that is the reason here I mentioned cache memory is a very high speed semiconductor memory which speed up the CPU. Okay, we speed up the CPU in the sense this kind of memory generally act as a buffer between the CPU and the main memory. This is the memory which is available between the CPU and the main memory. Okay, so then what particular information hold by this particular kind of cache memory? So it is used to hold those part of data and program which are most frequently used by the CPU. Means generally the data or the information or the program or the website or the different whatever things you browse, so that particular part being stored in this particular cache memory. Okay, and that is for what purpose? Now this particular data or the program which are being frequently used, means frequently used in the sense which are being utilized number of times, that is used to be stored on this particular buffer as a on the cache memory. Okay, so this particular cache is the small, it's a small memory, but it is a faster. Okay, and what exactly it store the copies of the data from frequently used main memory location. As you know, whenever the CPU has to process some particular information or whatever things that is being done by the CPU, so for that purpose that particular information or data has to be bring into the primary memory first, means onto the RAM first, and then CPU access that from the RAM and process it. But in between CPU and the primary memory as a RAM, there is this cache memory is there. Okay, and what cache memory store? So cache memory store some particular information, data or the website link which is being accessed number of times. Understood? And what is the importance of this storing it in the cache memory? So whenever suppose for the uh, day 1, day 2, day 3, every time you access one particular website, like you access the Wikipedia website, okay, number of times on the 1, 2, 3 days. So this Wikipedia website is nothing but the website which you have access frequently. So that particular website data or that website link is stored in this cache memory, because whenever next time user access this particular website, the particular CPU will not access this from the primary memory, but CPU will access it from the cache memory. So instead of accessing it from the primary memory, accessing it from the cache memory, it is the more faster. Okay, because which is the closest memory to the CPU here, cache memory, as compared with the primary memory or the RAM. That is the reason here I have mentioned it is used to hold those part of data and program which are frequently used by the CPU. So it is a smaller memory as compared with the RAM also, but it is more faster because it is more closer to the CPU. We store the copies of the data from frequently used main memory location. Understood? So even if you check the cache of your browser also, you will see there, you can see there some data or the link or the some instruction are stored in that particular cache memory. Okay. And if you clear that, then whenever you go for the accessing the website which you have in the past, which you have accessed frequently, but uh, after you delete all the cache, and next time when you go for the accessing that website, then accessing that website will take the more time because you have removed that particular copies of the data from cache memory. Understood? So whatever the browsing we do, whatever the information we access, data we access, copies of data or some link of copies of that data used to be stored on the cache memory, so that CPU can access it more fastly as compared with CPU has to access it from the primary memory. Understood? So that is nothing but the cache memory. Now, if you along with the cache memory, you must have heard about the cookies also. Okay, so this both the cache memory and the cookies. So as I mentioned here, both the browser cache and the cookies let you store the information on the visitor computer. So whatever website we visit, whatever data we access, okay, that all the information used to be stored in the cache memory. Understood? While you browse the while you browsing on the computer. Okay. And what then what information cookies store? Now cookies store the information like user ID, password, that all the things related with the tracking of the user. Okay, that information is stored in the cookies. So see, both of these are used to store the uh, some kind of information on the whenever the user operate on the computers. But this information is different, means cache store the different kind of information where cookies store the different kind of information. As I said, cache is to store the copies of the information instead of directly accessing it from the primary memory or the main memory. Information like frequently used data, instruction, websites, that all the things are being stored in the cache memory. Okay. And cookies used to store the information related with the user, like its user ID, password, etc., etc. Its login time, okay, how much time he has browsed something, that all the things being stored in the cookies. Okay. So that is the reason here it is mentioned. Both of these used to store the some information on the visitor's computer, but they do it in the different ways. Okay. So here also I have mentioned browser caching help you to speed up your site. So that is the reason cache memory used to speed up the computer, while cookies help you to store the information about the specific users to identify or track the user. So cookie, as I said, cookies used to store the information related to the user, its ID, its password, etc., etc. Okay. So both this browser cache memory or the cookies allow us to store the information on the visitors' computers. Okay. So this kind of information is stored in this particular buffer memory or the cache memory. Okay. If you want to see, let me show you. Let me show you the particular. Uh, uh, okay, here I want to show you the cache. Okay, here. Now here I have opened the setting, and in the setting you can see here. You can easily see here. Okay, you can easily see here. Let me do it. So here you can see the cookies and other site data. Means it is used to store the our different kind of login IDs of different sites. Okay, or different accounts. Okay, password, etc. And here you can see the caches, image, and the files. So it now cache in stored cache is how much? 319 MB. Now what is it is saying, if you clear this cache memory, so I am trying to clear this browsing data in that cache image and files I am trying to clear. So what it is saying, if you clear this cache memory, some sites may load more slowly on your next visit. Means what? On the basis of my past visit, whatever the things I have browsed in past, in previous days, whatever website I visited, that website data is being stored in the cache memory. Okay, now whenever I will go for the accessing that site next time, so that things will be get access using the cache memory, not using the main memory or the primary memory or the RAM. Understood? So that is the reason it can speed up the computer. But if I clear these things, then next time I have to access that website or the data from the, by using which memory? RAM, random access memory, or the primary memory. That is the reason it is being mentioned, if I clear this data, your some of the sites may load more slowly. Means some of the website may load more slowly whenever I will go for the, whenever in the future I will go to visit that particular website. Understood? So that is nothing but the cache memory and the cookies. Understood? So in this cookies here it is mentioned, sign you, if you clear the cookies, it will automatically sign out my some of the accounts, because you are deleting the particular user IDs password from that particular sites. Understood? So that is the reason here I have mentioned the things related with the cache memory and the cookies. Okay, I hope you must have understood the cache memory difference between the cache memory and the cookies. Okay, so cache memory used to store the particular kind of data. Here I have mentioned that cache memory used to store what? The cache is a smaller and the faster memory which store the copies of the data. In the data, anything can come. Instruction, there can be a website data, or there can be other kind of data. So here, that is the reason I have mentioned cache is a smaller and faster memory. We store the copies of the data from frequently used main memory locations. Understood? So that is the reason it is also mentioned here. It is act as a buffer between the CPU and the main memory. So whenever in the future user go for the accessing the same kind of data or the sites, it will not access from the main memory, but it will get access from the buffer memory, that is from the cache memory. Okay, so that is the cache memory, and along with that also we have the cookies. So cookies also store the user related information like ID, is ID, password, etc., related to the any kind of user accounts. Okay, so that is the first kind of memory, cache memory. Then second important kind of memory we are having here, that is the primary memory. Okay, so that is nothing but your RAM or the physical memory also you can call it. So then what primary memory holds? So primary memory holds only those data and the instruction on which the computer is currently working. So the particular instruction or data being currently get executed by the CPU, that data and instruction is contained by whom? That data and information contained by the primary memory. So primary memory, if you say it is having the limited capacity, its size is less, okay, as compared to the secondary memory, and it is a kind of volatile memory. It is a kind of volatile memory, means data is get lost when power get switch off. Okay, so this is nothing but, you must have seen the RAM also. It is also the made up of semiconductor devices like the cache memory. Okay, and as I said, the primary memory or the RAM used to store the data and instruction required to be processed. Whatever the data and instruction required for processing or the current execution, that is being always stored in the main memory. So this is being primary memory is also divided into the some subcategories like the RAM and the ROM. Okay, so when our primary memory get utilized, when CPU is executing some instruction, okay, and the data and instruction which is required for this execution currently, that particular part is stored in the primary memory. Understood? So not all the data and all the instruction whatever present on your computer, that everything is not store on the primary memory or the RAM. Only which kind of data and instruction or the things are get stored on the primary memory? Only the data and instruction which is required for the current execution. Understood? Or the data or instruction on which the CPU currently working. Okay, so there are the some of the characteristic of the main memories are there, like it is the semiconductor memories. It is also known as the primary memory. It is a volatile memory in the sense the data or information cannot be get stored permanently on this kind of memory. So whenever the you switch off the computer, data get automatically lost and this memory get empty. So it is working memory of the computer. Working memory of the computer in the sense computer only deals with or computer can only directly handle this kind of memory. That is the primary memory. Computer cannot directly interact with the secondary memory, that is the hard disk. Okay. So that is the reason it is more close to the CPU. It is more close to the CPU. That is the reason it is a faster than secondary memory. And computer cannot run without the RAM or the primary memory. If you try to run your computer by removing the RAM, then you must have understood or experienced it gives a beep kind of sound. It indicates that RAM is not present there. Understood? So even if secondary memory is not there, your computer may get start. But even you they but if you don't have the primary memory or the RAM, in that case your computer will never get start. Understood? So then we have the third kind of memory, that is the secondary memory. That is nothing but our hard disk. Here I have shown you in the picture also. Okay. So this type of memory is also known as the external memory or non-volatile. Non-volatile in the sense once you store the data on that memory, it cannot be get eliminated even the you switch off the computer or power goes off. So that is it is more away from the CPU. Okay, it is more away from the CPU. That is it is slower than the main memory. So it is used to store the data information permanently. Okay, that is the reason it is considered the non-volatile, where in case of the primary memory we have seen, it is used to store the data or information for temporary purpose. And the time when the CPU is executing or operating on that data and instruction, only that data and information store on the primary memory. But here, whatever the data information that you want to store permanently, it can be stored on the hard disk. So whenever you write some program on computer, like C program, if you write, and whenever you save it, it gets stored on the hard disk. But whenever you go for the execution, when you go for the execution, that particular program is being that program is being bring into the your main memory. Okay, and then CPU execute that particular program. Understood? So CPU directly does not access this memory, as I said. Instead, they are accessed via the input output routines. Means that particular data or the program which is stored on the hard disk, that has to be brought into the primary memory or the main memory. Okay. The content of secondary memories are first transferred to the main memory, as I said, and then CPU access it. Okay, as I should, as we have discussed here. So various example of secondary memory, we can hard disk, CD-ROM, DVD. These are all the considered as a kind of secondary memory or the external memories. Okay. So accordingly, we have the different characteristic related with the secondary memory. Okay, like these are the magnetic and optical memories. These are not the semiconductor memories as compared with our primary memories. These are what kind of memories? Magnetic and the optical memories. So these are being also referred as a backup memories. It is a non-volatile memory. Data is permanently stored even if the power is switched off, as we have discussed. So it is used for the storage of data permanently on the computer. Computer may run without this secondary memory, but computer may not be run, or it is not possible to run the computer if you don't have the primary memory or the RAM. And it is more away from the CPU. That is the reason it is slower than our CPU, slower than our primary memory, because primary memory is more close to the CPU. Okay. Now, so I hope all of you understood the basic of memory in case of the computer and different kind of memory and their role. Okay. Now, next, let's discuss something more about the memory. Okay, as I already we have discussed, the computer memory is being computer memory is basically known as the collection of data that is being represented in the binary format. Okay, so whenever the we try to store some information, then in the computer memory, that is the primary memory, that information is stored only in the form of the some binary format. Understood? That is the reason it is being mentioned here. Computer memory is a collection of data that is being represented in the binary format. Okay. So main memory is being also referred as a physical memory, that is the internal memory of the computer. Now, why this kind of memory is referred as a main? The reason also I have mentioned, the word main is used to distinguish it from the external mass storage. The word main used to differentiate it from the our hard disk memory, means secondary memory. Understood? That is the reason it is mentioned here. The word main used to distinguish it from the external mass storage device such as a disk drive, that is our hard disk. Okay, or other floppy drive you can say, or the pen drive also comes under the external mass storage. Okay, so you have to differentiate from all this kind of storage. The primary memory is being referred as a main memory. Okay, so it is being also referred as a RAM, that already we have discussed. Okay, the computer is able to change only data that is in the main memory. As I said, computer can only handle this primary memory directly. It cannot handle the external mass storage directly. So in order to handle the external mass storage, user presence is required there. Okay, so that is the reason it is mentioned here. Computer is able to change only the data that is stored in the available in the main memory. Okay, so therefore every program we execute and every file we access must be copied from the storage device into the main memory. So whatever thing we access or whatever things we try to execute, that everything has to be bring into the main memory first. Then and then only you can do the processing of that particular data or the instruction. Okay. So related with the memory also, related with the loading at that part, there is a two concept are there. That is the dynamic loading and dynamic linking. Okay, so as I said, all the programs or data are loaded in the main memory for the execution. Okay. Now, as I said, our primary memory is a limited. What primary memory is a limited kind of memory. So sometimes the complete program is loaded into the memory. If your program is small, then that whole program can be loaded into the RAM. Okay. But sometimes what happens, size of your program used to be very large. And that is the reason sometimes we can load only the certain parts of that program as a routine into the main memory. Okay, when we cannot load whole program into the RAM or the main memory, when the size of your program is very large, then what can be done when your size of the program is very large? So when the size of your program is very large, then that particular program, some of the part of that program is loaded into the memory, means that whole program is not loaded into memory at the same time. Part by part, routine by routine, the parts of that programs are loaded into the RAM. Okay, so here that is the reason I have mentioned. As you can see, sometimes the complete program is loaded into the main memory when the program size is small, but sometimes a certain part of routine of the program is loaded into the main memory only when it is called by the program. And this loading of particular certain parts of the program time by time, that is called as a dynamic loading. Okay, means what? When the size of the program is large, ram cannot ram cannot uh, ram cannot be accommodate all that large program at a time. Then how this program can be loaded into the ram? Then part by part, whenever some part of that program is required in the ram for execution, then that particular part is get called. That is the reason it is being mentioned. uh, uh, Sometimes the certain part of routine of the program is loaded into the main memory only when it is called. Okay, so when program is large, only some part of that program is loaded into the memory whenever it is called. Okay, and this particular kind of loading of the program into the ram, loading of the program into the ram part by part or routine by routine based on the calling, that is called as a dynamic loading. That is called as our dynamic loading. And because of this, the performance of the particular computer system can be get increased. Okay, so same like a dynamic loading, there is a dynamic linking, because you know the particular program is having different small different sub programs in that, or on the particular program other program also used to be depend. Okay, on particular program other different program may used to be depends. That is the reason here I have mentioned also, at the time one program is dependent on some other program. Now in this case, rather than loading all the dependent programs, the CPU link the dependent program to the main executing program when it is required. Okay, suppose this is your main program. Okay, on this main program there are some small programs are dependent. Okay, there are some small programs are dependent like this kind of programs. Okay, So also at the time one program is depend on some other program. Okay, means this is your main program. And okay, now this main program also requires these small programs also. As I mentioned, loading all the dependent programs, the CPU link the dependent programs to the main executing program. Means if we consider all these small programs as a dependent program on this main program, okay, then CPU load first this main program, okay, and then what happen? Then the CPU link these dependent programs to these main programs. Okay, so linking of dependent program with the main program. What linking of dependent program with the main program? If this is your main program and this is your dependent programs, so linking of main program with the dependent program, okay, while execution of the program, that particular mechanism is called as a dynamic linking. Okay, so what is the dynamic linking? When there are the main program is there and on that main program some other dependent programs are also there, then there is a need of linking of all these dependent program and the main program, and this linking of dependent program and the main program, that is called as a dynamic linking. So same thing I have mentioned. Also at the time one program is depend on some other programs. In such case, rather than loading all the dependent programs, the CPU link the dependent program to the main executing program. Okay, when CPU required it, and that is called as a dynamic linking. Okay, so if I said like this is your main program as I told you, and on this main program there are some other programs like these small programs which are dependent programs. Okay, so linking of these dependent programs with the main program, that is called as a dynamic linking, and accordingly the CPU call these dependent programs whenever it is required. Okay, so that is a related part with the loading and the linking related to the memory. Okay, now before we now you must have understood the concept of memory. Now before we start with the what exactly is the memory management, before that we need to clear some more things related with the computer system memory. And that is the reason here I have mentioned, in order to understand the memory management, we have to make everything clear about how data is being stored in the computer system. Means how data is being stored on the computer memory. Now, as we know, the machine understand which particular language, binary language, that is 0 and 1 language. Understood? So that is the reason the computer convert the every data into the binary language first, and then it store that data into the memory. Understood? What task the computer first does? Computer does the first task, that is the converting that particular data which is written in the natural language or in the higher level language into the which language it convert? Binary language. And then this converted binary language things get stored in the primary memory. Okay, that means if you have the program line like this, int alpha equal to 10, then the computer convert this particular part into the binary language into the 0 and 1, and then computer store it into the memory blocks or the on the memory cells. Understood? So that is the thing that you need to understand. So that is the part that you need to understand, how the actual data is being stored on the computer system memory. Okay, how it's stored? Computer first convert it into the binary format, and then this binary format data gets stored onto the memory blocks. Okay, now if you try to understand this part with the example, so if you see this representation of, for example, int I equal to 10. Now what is the binary representation of 10? Binary representation of 10 is what? 1010. What? 1010. Now if you consider here the 32-bit system, okay, what? 32-bit system, the size of int is 2 byte, that is how much? 16 bit. One byte is the 8 bit, so 2 bytes in the sense 16 bits. And this 16 bit is nothing but the one memory block store the 1 bit only. Now this 16 bit will get stored how? This 16 bit will get stored on the 16 different memory blocks. Understood? Here I have shown you, these are the 16. Now for this program to get stored, how many memory location is going to be required? 16 bits. How? Why the 16-bit? Because int is having the size of 2 bytes. Understood? 2 byte equal to 16-bit means, and each memory block store how many bits? 1 bit. That is the reason how many memory location will required? 16 memory location, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And you can see last 4 memory location, it is storing the 1010. That is the representation of this 10. Because binary format, binary representation of 10 is what? 1010. And here you can see. So each of these block is referred as a memory block or one memory block. Understood? Or it is also referred as a cell. Understood? So that is the reason in the previous part, one definition of memory we have seen. One definition of memory that we have seen, that is what? The memory is a large array of words or the bytes where each location with its address. So that is the thing we have shown you. I have shown you here. Memory is what? Large array of words or bytes, where these bytes being converted into the bits. Okay, this is nothing but the each of the bit, which represent the one memory block. Understood? So here the base on the your whether your system is the 32-bit or the 64-bit, accordingly memory get memory get memory get divided into the different blocks. Okay, like this, as I shown you here. Understood? And according the range of values that can be stored get decide. So in case of the 32-bit system, the range of values that can be stored using the memory array is from 32,768, from minus 32,768 to the plus 32,767. Understood? Accordingly, the blocks of the memory get their addresses. As I said, each of these block is having certain addresses, so that the data can be get stored on this particular memory systematically. Understood? So that is the basic thing related to the memory, and how the data gets stored on the memory, that all of you must have understood. Okay, now here we'll start with our points of what exactly is the memory management. Okay, so here our part of the memory management start. So first we'll discuss what exactly is the definition of memory management, and then we'll try to discuss it in the more detailed way. So here memory management is the functionality of operating system that already I told you. It is the one of the great role performed by the operating system, that is what? Managing the memory. So memory management is the functionality of operating system which handle or manage primary memory. Which memory it manage? Primary memory, that is your random access memory. How? By moving the process back and forth between the main memory and the disk. By how? Moving the process back and forth, in the sense, suppose, let me show you, this is your CPU. Okay, this is your main memory, and this is your secondary memory, that is a disk. Now whenever CPU want to execute something, the data or instruction from the secondary memory being accessed in the main memory, and from main memory it is being go to the CPU. Understood? Again, when the CPU finish its processing, again that data goes on to the secondary memory, or whenever main memory thinks that some particular data or instruction, for some particular data or instruction there is a no need to be stored in the main memory, then that data or instruction gets sent into the secondary memory. Understood? That is the reason here it is being said memory management is the functionality of operating system. Who manage the memory? Operating system. That is the reason it is said memory management is the functionality of operating system which handle or manages the primary memory. How it manages or handle the primary memory? By moving the particular data or instruction, or by moving some process between the main memory and the secondary memory. Disk is our secondary memory. So how the operating system manage the memory? By continuously by continuously moving the data from this main memory, or this is a secondary memory, by moving the data from secondary memory to the main memory, main memory to the secondary memory to the main memory. So this continuous interaction goes on between the main memory and the secondary memory in order to transfer the data from main memory to the secondary memory, then from secondary memory to the main memory. So when data will be sent from, when data will be sent from secondary memory to the main memory, when certain data or instruction has to be executed by CPU, then that data has to be brought, that data has to be bring from secondary memory to the main memory. When CPU finish its execution, then and that particular data or instruction, for the some particular data or instruction need not know, there should not be any data or instruction in the main memory, then at that time that data or instruction can be transferred into the secondary memory. Okay, let me tell you once again. Suppose this is your CPU. Okay, this is your main memory, this is your secondary memory. Now when the data will be transferred from, or some process will be transferred from secondary memory to the main memory, whenever CPU want to execute that. Okay, now when the CPU finishes execution, again that data or information again store into the secondary memory. So in this way, that is the reason here it is being mentioned, the memory management, the functionality of operating system which handle or manages primary memory. How it manages or handle the primary memory? By moving processes in the data instruction, whatever you think, by moving the process back and forth in the sense, by transferring it to the secondary memory and by receiving it into the, by receiving it from the secondary memory. That is the reason it is mentioned by moving it back and forth in the sense backward and the forward between the main memory and the disk in the sense secondary memory. So that is the nothing but the memory management definition. Okay, what is it? Memory management is the functionality of operating system which handle or manage the primary memory by moving the some data instruction or processes back and forth between the main memory and the secondary memory. Okay, now in order to manage this main memory, as I said, our operating system is made with the help of different kind of small modules. Like in order to handle the process scheduling, or in order to do the CPU scheduling, there is a scheduler module is there. Similarly, in order to do the memory management, there is a memory management module or small software there is there, which is the part of your operating system. Because operating system is being made by combining different software together. Okay, by combining different software modules together. So in order to manage the main memory, software module required, that is the memory management module is required. Okay, which is a part of your operating system. And operating system with the help of this memory management module used to manage the main memory. Okay, so why we need to manage the main memory? That is the another important thing here. Okay, why we need to manage the main memory? Okay, now one of the important reason that you need to manage the main memory. Now why there is a no need to manage the secondary memory, and why we need to manage the primary memory only? The one important reason behind that is what? The computer primary memory is limited versus the secondary memory. Okay, if you see today, normally the RAM is available in the number of GBs, 8 GB, 4 GB, more than 8 GB also. Okay, but if you see the secondary memory, it is available in the 500 GB, 1000 GB, terabytes, like that kind of things. Understood? So as a primary memory is limited, that is the reason we have to manage it carefully. The resources which you are having limited, the resources which are having limited, that you have to handle with care, that you have to manage carefully, so that certain operation can be performed it with in the proper manner. Secondary memory is available in the huge amount, that is the reason there is a no need to manage it. Understood? But primary memory is available limited, that is the reason we have to manage it in the sense what, we have to handle it in a such a way that all the programs process that want to execute, that can be get accommodated, or that can be get stored in this primary memory. Understood? But as you know, all the data programs cannot be stored at a time in the primary memory. That is the reason the data or program which is needed by the CPU for current execution, only that data or information gets stored in the primary memory. Understood? Now that is the reason, as you can see, if you can take the another example we will take to understand this, but here you need to understand, as a primary memory is limited, that is the reason we have to manage it carefully. Understood? And how we are managing it? We are managing it by continuous interaction between the secondary memory and the primary memory. Means whatever information that is not needed there in the primary memory, that we store it to the secondary memory. The information which is required in the primary memory for the CPU, for the CPU execution purpose, whenever CPU want to execute some particular task, only then we used to bring that data or information from secondary memory into the primary memory. Other time that data or information used to be stored in the secondary memory. Understood? So the same thing I have mentioned here, the reality of most of the computer and storage deployment is that all type of computer memory are considered constrained by upper limit. Means the computer memory is constrained by upper limit, in the sense the computer memory, in the sense primary memory is limited. Understood? Primary memory is limited. That is the reality. Okay. So no resources on the modern system perhaps as a constraint as a memory. So most constrained part of our computer system or limited part of computer system is nothing but the primary memory. Okay. And which is always needed by the operating system, which is always needed by the different application, which is always needed by the different storage for the execution purpose, because CPU will only execute the data, information, program, application only when it is present in your primary memory. Okay. So without unlimited memory, at some point memory is fully consumed, then that time our system may not work properly. As you can see, primary memory is limited. Okay. So if you try to run maximum number of tasks or maximum number of process on your computer system, then your computer system may not get work properly. Okay. What is the reason? Because you cannot execute all the tasks, all the instruction program at a time using the primary memory, because it is limited. And that is the reason you must have experienced some particular things on the computer, some errors on the computer, that primary memory is remaining very less. Okay. Or your primary memory is available very less. That kind of error notification you must have seen. Okay. Or your RAM is very less, your some of the tasks may not get executed, or your remaining primary memory is very less. That kind of notification you must have seen. Understood? So since the beginning of the information technology, there is a one challenge that is related with the memory part, handling or managing this memory, because it is available in the limited amount. Okay. So that is the reason the things which are available in the limited amount, that particular things or the resources need to be managed carefully. Understood? It is not possible to store all the data information within a primary memory. Understood? That is the reason some of the data which is required, you store it here. When its work finished, you transfer it into the secondary memory. Understood? So in this way, you manage the operating system manage your primary memory. So you can take the example of our real life example. If you take the example of bank, now if you see the space of the bank, in the bank you can see that there is a huge space inside the bank. But if you see the ATM, now in the ATM small boxes are being made, small boxes or small rooms are there in the ATM, where if the 50 peoples are there, can all the 50 peoples enter inside this ATM room? No. But if that all the 50 people want to enter the bank main space, they can enter. But can they enter inside the ATM room? No. In the ATM room, only 2 to 5 people can enter. Once one people finish its work, it goes outside and other people come inside. Same is thing there. In case of the primary memory, whenever the data or information is required for the execution by the CPU, that data or information is brought into the primary memory from secondary memory. Whenever that data or instruction get executed, it is get transferred into the secondary memory. And this is nothing but the called as a memory management. Understood? That is called as what? Memory management, which is nothing but handling or managing the primary memory so that system can run properly, and that is the called as a that is called as a memory management functionality, which is performed by the operating system. Okay, I hope you must have understood why we need to manage the primary memory. Okay, so it is the operating, in case of the operating system, memory management is the one of the important function. In operating system, memory management is the function responsible for what? Managing the computer's primary memory. So managing the computer primary memory or the RAM, that is called as a memory management. Okay, so there are the different ways of managing the memory. Okay, like number of ways we will discuss here. The memory management function keep the track of status of each memory location, whether it is allocated or free. As I said, if there is a 4 GB of memory, that 4 GB of memory is being divided into the number of blocks, cells. Now, one of the important part which is performed by as a part of the memory management is what? Keeping track of what? Which memory blocks are allocated and which are free. Okay, then also it determine how memory is allocated among the computing process, deciding which gets memory when they receive it, how much they are allowed. Means if there are the 5 process want to utilize the primary memory, want to execute, then out of that 5, which process will get the access of memory? So out of that 5, the particular process which is having the higher priority, that process will get the access of the memory, and that process will get access to the particular memory blocks for the execution purpose by the CPU. So determining which process should be get allocated on the memory means if there are the multiple process want to be stored on the memory, then out of that multiple process which to be choose, the which one is having the higher priority, that will be get choose. That is the important functionalities also being performed as a part of the memory management. Okay, so same thing I have mentioned here. It determines how memory is allocated among the computing process. Computing means if there are the multiple process want to get stored on the memory. Okay, then when as a part of the memory management, next thing that is being get done is what? When memory is allocated, it determines which memory location will be get assigned. As I said, number of cells being created, then on which particular memory block certain process will get allocated or certain data will get stored, that decidation also need to be done as a part of the memory management. Also it keep the track of where when particular memory block will get free, where or when particular memory block will get unallocated, and updation of all that status of allocated memory, unallocated memory, free memory, that everything is being done as a part of the memory management. Okay, so this technique decide which process will get memory at what time. Also, memory management technique also need to decide if there are the 5 process, then if the P1 got the memory, then when will the P2 will get the memory. That is the reason this technique decide which process will get memory at what time. Okay, so that all the consideration or management is also done as a part of the memory management. It also keep the count of how much memory can be allocated to the process. Means what is the requirement of memory for the particular process and how much memory can be allocated for that process. That all the count is also maintained by the memory management as a part of the memory management. Okay, as it keep track of everything, so whenever some memory get free or unallocate, the updation of that as a status is also being done. So that is already we have discussed. So as a part of the memory management, all these things need to be done, keeping the track of status of memory location, whether it is allocated or free, then deciding which process will get the memory first, which will get the later on, then deciding which locations of the memory are already allocated. Okay, then updating the status of free, unallocated, allocated status. Also then deciding which process will get the memory at what time. So doing all this kind of management, that is nothing but the memory management, which is being happen as a function of our operating system. And who is doing all these things? Operating system, with the help of which module? Memory management module. Okay, so there are the some on all the whatever the discussion we have done, on the basis of that, some some reasons or related with the why we related with the memory management technique. why there is a need of the memory management, why the operating system should do the memory management. Related with that, some reasons I have mentioned here based on our discussion. Like some reasons, as I said, first reason, this technique help us in placing the program in memory in such a way that so that memory is utilized at its full extent. Okay, so as I said, through the memory management technique, the care is being taken that no block of the memory should remain unused. All the blocks or the cells of the memory get utilized properly. That can be done with the help of memory management. Okay. So this technique also helps to protect the different process from each other so that they cannot interfere with each other's operation. Suppose P1, process P1 is stored on this block. Now, as I said, this particular fragmentation of memory is needed because suppose there is another process P2. Now, if you don't do this fragmentation, or if you just arrange the memory like this as your main memory without dividing it to the blocks, then your P1, P2, this is P1, P2 may interfere with each other's operation. But here there is a separation between the P1 and P2. P1 is here and P2 is here. So that is the same point I have mentioned here. This technique helps to protect different process from each other so that do not interfere with each other operation. So because of this fragmentation of memory, it becomes possible that each particular process will get their separate block. If they get separate block, they will not interfere with each other. Okay. It helps us to allocate the space to the different application and the routines. So each different application that you run on the computer, for each of that separate memory get allocated. Okay. So these techniques allow you to check how much memory need to be allocated to the process, that decide which process should get memory at what time. That already in the previous slide also we have discussed how much memory is needed for the particular process. Okay. And which process should get memory, that everything can be done with the help of the memory management. It also keep the track of each memory location, whether it is free or allotted. So that also we have discussed. So for all these reasons, the memory management required to be done. Okay. So that is all the things that we want to discuss today. Okay. And we have already finished the part that is what exactly is the memory, different types of the memory, need of the memory. Okay. And why we need to do the memory management. Okay. Now, even if you want to see, I can show you on our computer system, on my computer system here. Okay, you can see if I just press the control alt delete. Okay, and here you can see the task manager, and in the task manager you can easily see here what are the processes or app running on my computer system and how much memory it is being consumed by them. So you can see Adobe Acrobat Reader is the one application is running. Okay, now here you can see how much memory it is being utilized by that. How much memory? 76 MB. Google Chrome is running, it is consuming 418 MB. Microsoft Excel is running, it is consuming 1.6 MB. Notepad 0.1. Task Manager itself 21.6 MB. Zoom itself 88. Understood? So this is the way. Okay, this is the way. So that is the we are discussing. So which are the processes consuming how much amount of memory, keeping track of all these things, that is also the part of the memory management. Okay, so I hope all of you have understood whatever the things we have discussed regarding the memory management. Okay, now today we have discussed the what is memory, different types of memory, how to manage the memory. Okay, now in the next lecture we are going to discuss about the which are the different techniques. Okay, with the help of which different techniques memory management can be done by the operating system, that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Okay, so that's it from the today lecture. I hope all of you understood all the things. If you have any doubt, please comment in the comment section. Okay, thank you all of you.